What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to be talking about how you cannot grow in life until you let go of everything that is attached to your past self. Okay, so think of this as like, like a crab or any of those or any of those animals that like molt and shed. Like in order to get bigger, they have to molt and shed off their previous exoskeleton or whatever the hell it's called. Same thing with us guys. We have to let go and detach from whatever is thoughts we have about ourselves, whatever. And a big thing is also whatever we think people perceive us as. We tend to act the way we think people perceive us. Okay, so it's kind of like how think about classes back in school. Maybe in one class you're super outgoing, and then you think everyone knows you as the outgoing guy, and then the other class you're quiet, and and you think everyone perceives you as the quiet guy, um, or just different activities. So just you just got to remember that that's a huge thing. Once I've realized that, and I actually heard this I think online from somewhere, but like we tend to act in the way that we think people perceive us gives you a lot of clarity into like how we can grow as a person. So that's why I think the biggest thing is to go live in a city that you're not from. Move away from your hometown, move away from where you're at. If you want to start over, I think I forgot where, but I definitely have seen studies on this where they talk about this, where the best thing, like the way to detach and let go of like prior feelings, is to go start over somewhere else. The best thing I did was moving from my home state, and then when I moved to Texas, like I had a lot of shit in my head bothering me. I was not confident with girls. I was man, just had some traumatic shit that happened when I was like 21, 22 that really scarred me pretty bad at the time. And like, dude, when I got to move to Texas and start over, man, that was the best thing ever. I went from being the lowest point in my life right before I moved to like the highest, the high. I remember just being in Texas and being able to start over, and like no one knew me, so I get to like reinvent myself. So that's a huge hack right there. Is go to a new place, go reinvent yourself somewhere new. And that's one of the blessings we have, especially being younger, man. If you don't have kids or a family or anything tiny down, bro, you have no excuse. Go. You'll figure it out. There's people who go out and figure it out. You can figure it out. So get out of the place, like, so for example, if you're trying to reinvent yourself as someone more confident, you know, and you're living in let's call it Orlando, Florida, and you're like, oh my god, I don't feel confident, this and that. You can go move somewhere to a different city. Doesn't have to be necessarily a new state. I think it would be best if you do, somewhere far away, but like a different state, city, and then all of a sudden you don't know anyone there, and then now like you can reinvent yourself. You can, even if you're just a little bit more confident. That gives you it's such a great feeling. But we really have to let go, man, and that's why another thing too, like the way they from what my understanding of like how they treat people with PTSD and whatnot, they give them ketamine, and that's such amazing results for people who are given this ketamine because they get to dissociate, what's the word, disassociate from that traumatic experience. So we have to just learn to let go. And then I don't know, I'm a big believer. If you want to go, I think they're starting to let people take ketamine for to help out with stuff like that. Without anything, like without being a study or anything. I just see ads on like Facebook about that shit. But guys, it's like that's been the biggest thing for me, man. Is when I got to start over and go to Texas and reinvent myself, and I made so many breakthroughs. All right, and so we really got. I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's like if you were to do anything in the world right now to help out with like reinvent yourself, go move somewhere different. If you can't do that, maybe like even like move out of the place you're at. I feel like I've start getting to a rut if I'm like I move into a new house, whatever, and then or a new apartment, and then if after a while you get into a routine. So you got to break up your routine. You can't really change as easily as a person if you have the same routine. Okay, so that could be as simple as taking a different route to work every morning, or say you go to the run every morning, go run a different route, or say you go to the gym and do just certain things, like go mix it up a little bit, like mix things up. That's a huge thing of like, because when we're like doing the same thing over and over, what happens, like you've been like down a dirt road or something, or you see like where the tires go down the same path and it wears away and it starts becoming like a rut, because like the tires are going over the same spot all day, every day. That's what happens in our minds, guys. Like we keep doing the same thing over and over. We get into this mental rut and it's hard to get out, but when we mix things up and now we're instead of going on path A, we're doing path B and mix it up and sometimes path C, then it's we start having new things connect in our brain, and that's when we can disassociate with that old experience, the old feeling of self, and we can reinvent our new selves more easily. So, which basically is the whole thing of like moving somewhere new, right? It's because you have to go on a new path all of a sudden. Like if you move somewhere new, now you got to find a new gym. Now you got to find a new job. Now you got to find new grocery store to go to. But when we get stuck in the same path of doing the same thing, going to the same places, like, dude, it's no wonder we get in ruts, man. Like, I know a lot of people like the routine, but I mean, for me, example, guys, like I'm always the happiest. I told this to someone last night. I'm always the happiest when I'm like changing, when things are changing. Like when I first moved to Texas, I was like super happy for a while. And then of course after, I was there for a total of 5 or like 6 years total. And then, I'm in the same city. I'm in DFW, Dallas. So like, it just gets, even though it was amazing at first, I got bored after a while, because I would go to the same places, do the same things with the same people, and you got to mix things up. Um, but yeah, so then I moved out here to the West Coast. I know it's temporary because this is a fucking liberal shithole out here, and even though it's beautiful, it's liberals ruin everything with their politics. Hopefully that doesn't offend too many people, but yeah, it probably will. Fuck you. Anyways, yeah, man. When I moved out here, it's like I got to reinvent myself again. Move out to the West Coast. So, anyways, guys, I think you just got to change things up. Like I said, first things first, move. You want to reinvent yourself, let go of your prior way of thinking. You gotta like the biggest way is changing your surroundings. That's what scientifically has been proven. It's like when you change your surroundings, you have different things firing your brains. Also, another thing, guys, you can take magic mushrooms. I think that's a huge help. I every time I felt like I was in a rut, then I had a good, eat an eighth or something, or if you're more sensitive to that type of shit, eat a little bit less. But trip, have something that like you get nervous taking. Of course, it depends on what your state's views on this. I'm not giving you legal advice. This is for educational or not education. This is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not telling you. I'm telling you what I did actually to help me out. So every time I felt like I was in a rut, I wanted to reinvent myself, and let go of like my prior ways of thinking. Like I went and tripped, go do your thing, trip on, mushrooms or whatever. So if it's not legal where you're at, consider maybe possibly for entertainment purposes, traveling to a place where it is legal and giving it a shot. I think yeah, there's all kinds of really great things about taking mushrooms. But anyways, I think that's all I got for right now, guys. Subscribe to the channel for more. Have a great day.